So anyway.
Good. I'm glad he was alone in this check.
Alrighty.
Can't even bring the smart block or something. I'm gonna do that. It will show you. It will take you 30 seconds.
It is 7 o'clock. We'll call the June 2024 Board of Education regular meeting to order. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Nebraska Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted right there in the room. With that, we'll take roll.
Jason Art.
Here.
Esther Fleischer. Jason Locker.
Here.
Matt O'Daniel.
Here.
Shannon Lamont.
Here.
All right, everybody is here. Let's do the pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will go to agenda item 1.4. Motion to approve the regular meeting agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve regular meeting agenda as presented. Second.
Thank you, Matt and Jason. So we move in second. Is there any discussion?
There will be just a couple of items at the end that we won't, one item for sure. We did not get a letter of engagement from the auditor, so we will not take action on that. So-
Okay.
So there's no recommended action tonight for
Okay. Perfect. Anything else? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Cassie Fleischer.
Yes.
Chase Carville.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Lamont.
Yes.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Agenda item number 2 is welcome to guests and public forum. I do not see anybody here that's going to address the board. So we'll move on to agenda item number 3, consent agenda. Both the minutes of the previous board meeting and the financials, as well as some new hires are there. On the financials, I went through it. A couple areas I wanted to highlight that we kind of talked about. First was Bureau of Education Research Title IIA funds for St. Paul. It was a payment we make, and then St. Paul
the state reimburses.
the state
us for
reimburses.
that.
Thank you. And then the roof repair. I don't think it's any secret that we've got a little bit of moisture past month, so that's just sealing up some leaks on the roof that have happened. And you'll see two of them, one for Omaha Truck and one from Total Truck and Machine, some bus repairs. I think the building and ground meeting about that bus, is that a while ago?
Yeah, the 2011, that one, that's a repair to get that rear end fixed. That
Yep.
one's working now and functional again.
So we have that bus available as opposed to, sorry if I'm taking buildings and grounds here, as opposed to buying a new one. So we're putting one just in service that's good to go there. And then I also wanted to highlight on the activity balances, the cheerleading one, you'll see is in a deficit. Dr. Bruce and I talked about that. And Mr. Shada, please feel free to interject here if this is incorrect, but it shows a deficit now. However, that's slowly going to be drawn down as the cheerleaders work to pay off that and work to do some fundraisers. Is that accurate? 100%. Gotcha. So those are the only areas I identified. I don't know, Matt, if you had anything additional.
Those are good catches. I caught a couple of them, but not all of them. Another interesting page here to look at is, our annual receipts, our property taxes, et cetera, what percentage of them has been received. That's always interesting. Overall, 96%, so it shouldn't be, right? We should be about that. Other than that, no.
I had one question on the Visa or the credit card. It looks like we paid it Prime twice. Is it Prime renewal?
Because it's split between elementary and high school.
Oh, okay. I was like, why do we have 2 Prime accounts? That's silly.
Nope, it's just split.
Gotcha, okay.
I do have one question. Why do we not zero out the athletics every year?
Well, when we get to August, we'll make the transfer that we budgeted for, which is $25,000.
Right.
But you have to have money going into that account to zero it out.
Well, I was just wondering why we don't,
And that would be like a whole different process for us. So we budget for a certain amount to transfer. But if we wanted to, we could budget like to transfer a larger amount and then just transfer enough to zero it out here, and we wouldn't have to transfer everything. So that
Well, I
would
was
be
just
the
wondering 'cause-
philosophy behind building the budget. Yeah.
I didn't know, because last year we were 20 behind, and if we do 25 this year, now we'll be behind the start of the year.
Yeah, no, it's interesting too, and I spent a lot of time looking at this month comparing it to last June too, because last May, reported in June, we had about $20,000 more in deposits at the end of the year than we did. Jen and I were looking at that earlier, so, you know.
Just in that
it's
athletic account.
Just in that athletics account, yeah, or it was activities in general.
Activities in general.
Activities in general. So just trying to figure out what the difference is and, you know, year to date, revenues compared to last year at this time, year-to-date expenditures compared to last year at this time. So it's kind of a project that we're working on. We're looking at, you know, things that can be eliminated if there's anything in excess or what is increased so much. I mean, we
Right.
know
I was
with
just
that account comes, you know, like our officials and all of our fees, our entry fees for all of our events. And so we know we have more events with girls wrestling, things like that. So, but yeah, we've always budgeted a set amount and only moved that amount. I have never considered budgeting a higher amount than what we need and then just leaving the rest. But, so I can talk to the auditors about that, and that's something that we can look at in finance committee when we build the budget this year.
Yeah,
I was just curious, because 10,000 a year, pretty soon, that's gonna be a big number.
Oh, well, it is a big number already.
Right.
Yes, it is. It is. a
Yeah.
big number.
Any other comments on the financials? And then there was some new hires. and Dr. Lewis probably doesn't want me to say this, but I believe as far as the teaching and guidance side goes, that would fill all the positions, correct?
It was open positions, right, yeah, and we have I'm gonna say it's a 95% yes on the,
Over 100%.
we're 100% yes, we're for sure on that, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect, because that was the last time Jackie and I left it, I wasn't 100% sure yet, but she was pretty sure, so. Long-term sub, in first grade, that would give us the opportunity, we're planning on the full first semester, give us the opportunity to hire at Christmas and get a half time one. We offered her this position as a contract, and she just wants to start with it as a sub. It's a lady who's taken a couple of years off to raise her kids, and she wants to make sure it's gonna work for her family. She would sign a full year contract, and that saves the district just a little bit money to go with a long-term sub then. In the meantime, thinking it's probably gonna be a great fit anyway. And Mr. Kraus has been in the area for quite a while, worked in the neighboring district, fits the bill, is able to get the provisional certification that is already well qualified, and fits the qualifications in Rule 10 for an elementary guidance counselor, which is willing to work towards whatever provisional certification we would need for that. Anything else to add to that, Jen?
Nope.
We're comfortable with that,
Yeah.
so.
Super exciting.
Perfect. All right, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Cass is moving and seconded. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Chase Crowder.
Yeah.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Fosner.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 4, review of the annual district plan. Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, so we review this quarterly. Everything that is in the bright pink that is not numbered, because I need to go through the numbers, I've gotten kind of out of skew over the years here. So anyway, I just started bulleting it, and next time we'll start in the next fiscal year, and I'll get everything numbered properly. So everything in the bright pink is what we have accomplished since the last time we reviewed this. So as far as the area of budget, And this is going to appear in April things because it touches budget, it touches facilities, it touches some student performance, that kind of thing. So engaging with DLR to develop a next step facility plan after that community engagement meeting, and so we can start planning for those financially. So we don't have numbers yet or anything like that, but that is for the first step there. And the settling of that master agreement that is providing the stronger benefit plan to our staff. I think that's been a good tool in hiring for us this year. Working the budget around that is, I don't think it's gonna be quite as tricky as I thought it was at first, but we'll just see. The budget document is out now and I can start feeding some of the numbers in, so. In the area of community engagement, again, we're gonna talk about that engagement DLR to talk about kind of the result of that community engagement meeting. So we can start looking at the needs of our community members, the desires of our community members, what really came through thematically is what they think we really need to be doing. Facilities, yep, that's gonna pop up, the same one there again. And then the addition of the digital video boards to the main gym. In the area of student performance, implementation of new math curriculum. We adjusted our adoption cycle to align with the completion of standards updates by the state. Introduced new classes, including U.S. military history, introduction to sports medicine, and natural resources. And then addition to adjustments to course expectations, digital media, advertising, real-time multimedia. And so that's curriculum connected to the video boards. In the Mr. Parsons area there, some CTE, kind of what we consider in that realm, but just a little bit different. And then finally, in the behavioral and mental health goal, that several staff will be attending that mental health conference in June. Our school psych and our guidance counselor, we're also doing some additional training today on top of that for a train the trainer so we can provide PD in the fall for our staff. So we found a suitable replacement for guidance in the elementary, and the grants that are funding the room of requirement, we're going to be able to start moving forward with that. So it's exciting.
Perfect. Pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
anybody have any, I know we go over it quite a bit and talk about our board retreat, but anybody have any specific questions on any of that? Okay. We will go down to agenda item number 5, principal's report. Dr. Morgan.
Yes. I feel like it was so long ago. I wrote this like last week.
You might have done it before you went on your trip.
Yeah, and
Maybe
then,
it was a while ago.
and then to remember all the great things in the wild way we ended the year. Sixth grade business happens every year. It happened again this year. They brought in $874 with a profit, so they work on developing a plan, creating and marketing, and then they sell their products. This year we had a food choice and there was a photo bomb choice, which was super fun. So they did these picture booth kind of things and then they printed off the pictures for kids. So it was super fun, but the total profit was $584, which is a high. It's a record high. So that money goes into our Always for Kids and then helps to fund the sixth grade field trip on at the end of the year. Celebration days, so just grade levels do celebration days. They had some out of the parks. They give awards and snacks. They do that on a grade by grade basis. We held sixth grade graduation. We got 52 seventh graders now coming your direction. Fabulous group of kids. Fun. Move up day. So we moved the sixth graders up. They get to experience seventh grade. They have like a panel that they ask questions to, and they go to lunch. They have a buddy. And then we also have move up day for all of our littles get to move up and meet teachers from the next grade going forward. So that happened, and that did get to happen, which is exciting. That last week. And then we had our second annual talent show. This is put together by Mrs. Morin and Mrs. Rollins, and we had lots of very talented elementary kids who got up and sang and danced and played instruments and did gymnastics and just fun, just fun. And then track and field day, always a blast. K through 2, they do some kind of fun field events with waters and obstacle courses and barrel races and all that stuff. And then 3rd through 6th, they actually do the running and throwing. And then we did celebrate our 2 retirees, Mrs. Washburn and Mrs. Walling. They do a walk of fame down the middle, and the kids yell and scream, and it's fun. So we had that, and then end of the year luncheon with some famous chefs right there.
Notorious.
Notorious, yeah. Yeah.
Right to the
So I'm
right
gonna call it a win. And then very last, but definitely not least, we battled books. With this set of kids, they go to the ESU and compete in several categories. Here's a list of all the kids that participated. We had some good winners. We placed in every category. I believe they entered in. So good stuff. They read, how many? There's like 8 novels that they read throughout the course of the year, and then they compete in this at the end. So it's pretty heavy lifting for those kiddos, but good stuff. That's it. That's all I got. I mean, just a little light reading for you. You're welcome.
I saw there was a newspaper picked up an article on Washington and Wally.
Yes.
Their education, so that's good to read.
Yes, amazing ladies. We're gonna celebrate them again. Well, we were gonna celebrate them, and then that week it was the week. But we're gonna do a little get together on the last Friday of the month. We're gonna do a little luncheon. We're still working on the locale, so I'll send that out to you
Yeah,
if
that'd
you
be
wanna stop by and have some sandwiches. Celebrate some fancy ladies.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan.
That's all I got.
Mr. Fingston.
We got a half page for you.
And only one
So
picture?
that's the new contest.
Now who's going to be the shortest?
Well, I guess
Oh my God.
important piece coming later, so that'll be good. We've got FBLA going to Nashville at the end of the month, so, just stay queued in on that. Mrs. Cover does a good job. If you follow our Harlow Eagle Sports Twitter, she does a good job of posting to that from those competitions. We had a state FFA horse evaluation champions, so they qualified for nationals, which will take place in the fall, I think in Indianapolis. So Amy, Libby, Grayson, and Erica did a heck of a job there. So we'll be talking to them about going to nationals in the fall. In summer school, we've got up and running. We've got some credit recovery going. Later in the agenda, you will see we'll talk a little bit about a student who wants to do early graduation, still walk graduation, but on transcript graduate in December. So the process through that, I've got some paperwork to make sure we're following through with that.
Aaron, how many kids are in summer school now?
We have 2 right now. Yep.
Okay, I was
Yep.
just wondering, I didn't know.
Yep. We've had anything from 2 to, I think we had to get a couple more licenses last year, like 6, 7,
5 or 6,
somewhere around
yeah.
there. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a good
We
question.
That's
have
for
had
credit
students,
recovery.
yeah, credit recovery, we have had, like sometimes it's not necessarily they fail a class, sometimes it's, they transferred in and were deficit a class that we offer for 9th graders and they came to us as a 10th grader, so there's different reasons why. So they're doing a good job.
I didn't know, I just
Yep,
thought I'd
that's
ask, I
good.
didn't know.
It's good.
Yeah, I feel like every year now, we see FBLA and nationals.
Yeah.
And it's usually high number students now.
Yeah.
She's got what, a dozen this year?
What's that? I believe so.
12 this year.
12 or 13.
A little less than last year, but still a big group.
Are you going again?
She didn't need the extra supervision this
Yeah.
year, so, I mean, last year with 18,
Mhm.
that was tough.
Yeah.
But she felt comfortable,
Yeah.
with the 12 this year, so. I'm glad about it.
Orlando, I believe.
Yeah, they're going to Orlando this year.
Fun.
Good. So 5.3, Mr. Shada.
Hey,
You have the long one.
Yeah, well, before we get into that, we had a pretty exciting end of the season for our athletes here. And we'll highlight the track team. So, and I haven't, so I don't see, but we have a lot of medalists at the state meet. Whitney Wahlberg was 6th in the pole vault. Haley O'Daniel won the mile and second 800, and Haley Arp was 4th in the discus. Then on the boys side, we had Colby Ty was 5th in the 2 mile. And we have boys 4x4 of Nolan, Dallin, Caden, Kevin, 4x4. And then the same group got 1st in the 4x8. Nolan, sorry, I'm going slow because they got a lot of time else here. Nolan was third in the mile, second the 2 mile. Talked about down, Aiden Faust, was fourth in the 400, second in the long jump. Kevin Flesner was on both relays. Did I say Kevin relays? Did I miss him? Sorry. He was on relays. And then fifth in the 800. So I'm sure you saw all those things. And there's a really nice trophy that we'll get their name here too this next couple weeks on
State
there.
runner-up.
Yeah, state runner. So wanted to highlight those guys before we dive into too many numbers here. So congratulations to them.
Hey, quick, this is 2 or 3 minutes, I promise.
Yes, sir.
Since we're on the conversation of track, I've been asked this question a million times and I don't ever have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Class B versus Class C.
Mm-hmm.
What do they look at? What are our, what are our possibilities next year? What's it look like to you?
It's funny, I laugh because this is the same question that we had going on. We used to bounce back and
We bounce
forth.
back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I know that we're on the bottom, obviously, and it's probably not fair for me to ask you to give us your
So we are, I'm just
looking
gonna
at the
pull some
future
stuff
for us,
here.
but what is that process exactly, James?
So
That's what I don't
if I can
understand.
talk, you do 2 things at once.
Okay.
My wife tells me I can't. There's
They look at the count of 9 through 11.
9 through 11, here's 24 classifications. So, so you have, in Class A, you have 33 teams. Class B was 34 through, sorry, they got a new number here. Class B had 59 teams, and Arlington is the second largest Class C.
Last
So
year we were
it's
the
not
second
really even dependent
smallest
on class
Yeah.
population. I mean, as other schools move.
Yes,
Got it.
and so what helped, now, so we graduated a little bit of a smaller, 9 through 11, that count. So our 11th grade class right now is not a huge class, what, 40 something, I think.
44.
44, yeah.
incoming freshmen.
The
is very
incoming
big.
freshman is big.
Yes.
Yeah, so that may bump us back.
Yeah.
Our enrollment was 169, Fall City was 170 as the biggest C. And then Central City was 173 as B. West Point 175, there you go, thank you. And so it's just a numbers game. They count after the enrollment is due to the
Yeah.
NDE in September. This comes out in the winter sometime, whenever they get all of it calculated through. So,
And actually, yeah, so it'll be.
So
the
basically, that's
actual
just a moving
first
target.
snapshot.
so Brian, good question. So like when Omaha and some of these schools have added on, like schools online that are coming, Elkhorn North came on, that actually helped push us down. That's what also helped push us down to C2 a little bit too in football, was those schools. So it's the same moving target and track that it is in
Yeah.
football, as it is in basketball. Wrestling, we've been down in C for a couple of years, but we've been B, in
Yeah.
recent memory.
Well, I mean, like that Central City, I mean, that's just splitting hairs. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's all it is. I
Yeah.
mean, that's,
Well, and if you look at the swing of about 20 students between this year that are going to be seniors and the
Mhm.
freshman class coming in, that would bump us well ahead of where West Point is and even probably where Milford is right now.
Yeah,
could be,
A lot, I mean, potentially, if they don't experience growth, or if somebody doesn't do something funny at the top, pushes spots down,
Because weren't we the smallest B last year in track?
second smallest.
Yeah, we've been, yes, right in that
I
bottom.
mean, it was like,
1, 3,
Right on the
4.
fringe on each.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
That's why we bounce back and forth so much.
so that's what it is total student enrollment for 9 through 11.
9 through 11. They count the boy and the girl, but they don't ever send your girls one way and your boys the other.
But some sports. it's
But in
sort
some,
of-
in other sports,
So,
it's
like-
different. Track and field is not.
Volleyball,
What was
football
they
could be,
saying?
well,
Yeah.
football, no.
So everybody
Basketball
else
could
is
be
different,
different.
yeah. So they would do wrestling.
You
Women
could
don't.
potentially see basketball girls be boys be C.
So there was a big
It's
to-do,
just-
which we don't need to get into right now in public session, but there was a big to-do, a change in NSA bylaws that didn't go through last year. But it was a Class A only bylaw change. Well, there are a lot of B schools that some of their teams are A and some of them are B. Some neighborhoods would be good examples. And same idea with us. We have times where we've been B in wrestling, we've been C1 about everything else. And so that's stuff you do have to pay attention to on the NSA side. So does that answer that?
It answers my question, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some people say it's the junior boys or it's the
Yeah.
freshmen.
They'll blame the freshmen now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, thanks for taking the time to explain that, because we get
I bet you do.
All
as
the time.
parents of athletes and board members,
Yeah.
we get that question a lot.
Why don't we just be C? Well, we don't get to decide.
Yeah, I tell them to go talk to Mr. Shada.
That's,
That's what I do.
that's awesome. That's
And
good.
nobody wants to do that.
Clearly. That's
I
good.
bet they're not getting to money for doing it.
No, so I appreciate you going through there, and congratulations to those families and kids there. I'll highlight some of the report there. It is a fun report to do at the end of each year. Activity participation wise, our girls were up 1 total percent, which is a big deal in school our size. The 73% were involved in at least an activity this year. Our boys were back up to 68, so they're up 1% points. Middle school was up 7%, and they were a total 88. I thought some things just kind of stuck out to me when we did the numbers this year. But if you look at the middle school girl, we had 84% of them. So we had 42 of the 50, and then the boys, we had 60 of the 65 do a sport this year, which is really great. So I would think those numbers will continue to trend up as they transition to high school. And the same thing for our high school numbers, they look really solid there. The other part that's really fun to see, if you look at the activity page, Mr. Kingston, I think it's the first page there on that document. We had so we had 3 girls that were in 7+ activities, so non-athletic events. That's a lot. 5 and 5 or 6, 26 did 3 or 4 different activities, and 45 did 1 or 2. And the boys had 2 7+, 5 or 5 or 6, and 3 to 4 were 20, and then 50 boys did 1 or 2. So across the board, we're seeing our kids do a sport or 2 and do honestly 2 or 3 different activities, anywhere from some of the big activities we just were talking about to show choir, to the art club, to different pieces like that too. So it's impressive to see, and we appreciate our sponsors because it helps make well-rounded young people. The last thing before questions for you, special thanks to Dr. Morgan, Dr. Lewis, and Mr. Fingston. We have 179 student days minus floods and power outages. And the admin team covered 241 events. So that means that a lot of us were at a lot of events together. And we were fortunate to attend a lot of state level events this year with our athletes. And so thank you guys for giving up your nights and evenings to be, I don't know, in Boone Central, in Battle Creek, in all sorts of different places as well. We had some fun long road trips. Dr. Lewis and I got to ride a fun bus this year, which was fun. And,
Everybody got to ride fun bus.
yeah, it was a good
But
time.
ours was fun.
Yes. So, any questions on?
The most fun.
Some of them were a little low or more relaxed. Yes. Yeah.
Most is.
You can tell how fun it was based off of that.
Yeah, a lot of good information in those reports. You're pretty in depth of all the activities going on, who's involved in what, and the success of our students in them. So I appreciate that, Mr. Shea.
Is there, and generally speaking, is there data and studies out there that correlate activity counts or extracurriculars with grades and achievement, and maybe even after college? I mean, kids that are involved in multiple sports or activities seem to be higher achieving kids academically also. Is that a
Yeah,
fair statement?
that's 100% fair. I have not seen I don't, people have like numbers to it, but like if you did this, X% were this.
Yeah.
The term that we hear a lot is like that grit factor, determination, time management skills. We hear all the time from different folks, and we hear it from whether they're on the job training, that they're looking for kids that balance academics, can have a job, or involved in activities. And we hear from people, yeah, I'd love to hire, that young lady, that young man, because they're balancing all those things. My job may look easier when they don't have 7 activities on their plate too. So I think it's a good point, Pat.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions for any of the principals? All right, we'll go to agenda item Number 6, superintendent's report, Dr. Lewis.
I'm gonna go.
Thank you.
Yes, so.
And you.
Enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
My legal log is on there, some of those days haven't happened yet, and it's my intent to take those days up. So, for the remainder of the year, so I'll work the rest of this week with the exception of Friday. And then I will take the last 2 full weeks of June off there, and I should get close to getting rid of my vacation days. And if used properly, will leave me feeling refreshed and relaxed. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. I will have a couple this week. I do have training in Lincoln. It's a full day on the 12th and half a day on the 13th, so Wednesday and Thursday, and that is legislative advocacy, which is learning a little bit more about how the legislature works, all the ins and outs, and then preparing to testify on bills that impact our schools if the need comes up. So that's what that would be about. The July board meeting reminder was just to remind you that I did talk last month about me attending that one via Zoom because I will be at that national conference. Your NERC and NASB updates on, so it's really a short report from me this month. So, any questions about any of those?
Dr. Lewis, do you have somebody that's gonna Zoom you in with, I don't know if you assign,
I will have that piece figured out
Okay.
yet, so, if Jen plans to be here to take notes, I might have it ready for her, the principals are off until.
Okay.
Otherwise, I might, leave a laptop.
Okay.
We can just have it hooked up and ready to go. I can get it ready to go, on board, and like goes out, I think it's like 11 o'clock, so I can come up early and I can get that set up, or maybe even Mr. Person, because he does come up and help.
that's just,
It's done.
and Jen, do you,
I don't, but I will.
It's agreed. The way Mr. Person has it set up, I click go live. I mean,
Okay.
if I had to set the whole thing up and go in and do it myself, I could, but the way he gets it set up, someone just has to click go live and stream. So that's good, but I'll make sure that is all handled and ready to go and that is. And then I'll be able to launch the meeting from my end, so as long as the computer's live here, it will automatically.
We'll get through it.
all right. Any questions for Dr. Lewis on any of those 3 things? We'll go to agenda item number 7, committee and representative reports. I'll turn it over to buildings and grounds.
Yeah, we met just before the meeting. A couple of things on the agenda, so I'm gonna pull up that agenda in our notes, but you guys go ahead.
You.
Okay, so we talked about where, just a few things, I guess we should start with the, video boards. And the Booster Club, keeping their advertising visible all the time. And one thing that was brought up is putting something of a smaller, maybe, or maybe a foot and a half by 2 foot or foot by 2 or something,
Yeah,
banners in
like
the
12 by
hallway
18 or something like that.
between like where the eagle is on the wall, like straight across from the concession stand, putting something there instead of the banners in the gym. So that it would make it easier to see outside that everybody could look at.
You can get close enough to see them.
So they still wanna have banners up. Okay.
But the gym is probably not the right place for them anymore, since number one, if they bought an ad with boosters, it will be on the digital board. And number two, the discussion went, no one really looks at them, they're not in a super visible place in the gym right now, anyway.
Are they not planning on utilizing their space that they bought to put those advertisers on it?
They will be on it.
So we're gonna have them in 2 places then?
The people give money so that their advertising is on there somewhere all of the time. This is just based on the conversations that have been talked at me. 100% of the boosters funds go directly back to our students. And the concern is if it's only flashing up there every once in a while, our donors may be less likely to donate to the booster club. Yes, they've also donated to the wall. They donate in other ways. But the concern from the booster club is that businesses will be less likely to donate to the booster club. Thereby, our athletes will end up with less funds at their disposal.
Okay.
And then the other side of the coin is, why would you spend $1,000 or $5,000 a year to put your name on the scoreboard when you can spend $250 to get your name up there through the booster club?
Yeah.
And I mean, in a
So-
community our size, it is a concern. People are being asked for money, left and right. So I mean, it is a good conversation, but, the concern is real that, if the booster club sponsors don't give as generously, it's gonna affect how much they can give back to the athletic programs.
How much does Booster Club, did anybody know how much they gave it to us within the last year, period of time?
I don't know that there was a running total like at the booster banquets. They highlighted what they had done for each activity throughout the season, but I don't think at the end of the year there was ever we've given X amount of dollars back. So there were some, I think there was the giver program. I'm not sure how much that cost. That got used by all of the athletics. And then there were just a variety of smaller things to probably 60% of the sports throughout the year. So I can't equate it with a dollar amount. For some reason, I'm gonna say it's 10,000. I don't know if that's right or not.
I think it's
It
probably
feels
close.
close, yeah.
Well,
I
obviously.
mean, that's a question easily answered, but.
Yeah. I think that putting the scoreboard in here and the value of the ads and the space around that scoreboard has obviously changed the game here. Most of, just speaking of myself, I give to give, to support. I could give a shit like.
Nope.
Give a dollar less for my.
It's
Where
fine.
my,
It's fine.
where my,
Where
where my logo's at,
Yeah.
I mean,
Didn't register.
and not everybody's that way, I also understand
Yes.
that, I think that you guys are walking toward the compromise, it sounds kind of reasonable, and having their space be out in the concession area or something
And
like
they'll
that.
still be displayed at the football, like the football track facility. They'll be out there on those fences.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And this way they'd be up on the inside. Again, too, like somebody who's paying for those sponsorships, that the cruise signs are permanently up with the digital board, paid $25,000 for that, right? And so.
Yeah, you can't sell the
And it's
same
a valid point, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
square footage for, 10% of.
Anyway, this sounds like a
We got
pretty good
one up there. I
compromise.
just
It's a
don't like
smaller
where it's
banner,
at.
it's outside of the gym, so it's up, it'll be displayed where
So
the
we're gonna talk about putting banners in the hallways outside of the gym.
So it's not in the competition gym.
And it's not necessarily banners, I mean, I think
They're gonna be
it's not gonna
small.
be like what it is in the gym.
Where is that gonna go, I guess, is
Just
my.
an idea.
Okay, because I'm thinking of the different.
Question two was about like if they were up during games only versus being up all the time. So if it was a large banner consisting of several smaller banners that was just displayed when games are in session, and then it's like rolled up and put away with like on things versus being up all the time too. Honestly, kids aren't gonna walk by those and like write down a phone number and
No,
No.
call
Booster
for
Club's
some
got
backhoe
multiple
or something
ways
like
to
that. Yeah.
raise
So-
money also,
So,
But this is where the most of the funds come from.
is the sale of their
Mhm.
sponsorships.
How many?
And those programs that they give out are expensive.
How many sponsorships are there?
for boosters.
on that board.
Well, I know some of those, are those completely updated? I know that question was asked, I didn't know the answer to the question.
That's
The banners,
Yeah,
they resell them every year, and if they buy it again, the same banner stays up there. So if they don't sponsor again, they come down, if there's a new sponsor, it goes up,
is that for the
But it's-
academic year then?
rolls
Or
through.
calendar?
It's the calendar year.
Calendar,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, yeah, with the investment that we make in this picture, I think first and foremost, we've got to protect our ability to raise revenue off of that square footage in there. And, the only way we can do that is to eliminate other opportunities inside the gym. I mean, that's a very reasonable statement.
Inside the gym.
It's just-
Yeah. So that's just like been a point that's been brought up. Reading faces a little bit. I saw concern for putting things in the
I
hallway.
don't want banners hanging in the hall.
Yeah.
If there's
What's your-
another option.
what's your
like, I can-
concern on that? Just looks
I don't imagine that looks great.
yeah.
And then maybe initially it could, and I don't know any school I walk into, just see advertising banners when I walk into the foyer. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe there
I
is,
guess
but.
my concern would be similar, and then having students, if they have all the time, the likelihood of somebody not writing down a phone number to contact someone for sodding, but writing something else on, and you just
Yeah.
open opportunity for kids to not make decisions sometimes. And I think one of the conversations about refinishing the floor was to not put advertisements on the floor, to not look like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
to make it a not respectful, to make it a more professional looking
Yeah.
space. Echo that same like,
I like the idea that, maybe we should, if it's something that's like a pop-up type of thing or a big display every game that's set up or whatever else, or.
Well, like when they're setting up to sell
Yeah.
merchandise.
yeah.
That would be-
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
what the
You
conversation
get like a
was,
backdrop or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I
All
think
of
about
all
like
of them.
PTO for sure, and it's
Roll it
just like a
down.
big.
And then we're
board
always
and
in your
yeah, that's
Our
Yeah.
nice.
program.
Yeah.
When you
If
do
Because
take
I-
tickets, to put it behind you.
Yeah.
And do, I don't know
Something
if
that
they call
the
those-
booster club would bring in, so when they're
Yeah.
there, then they have, it's
Yeah.
managed a little more, cause like you said, the damage. I instantly think if it's hanging, kids do really dumb things. Someone's gonna write on it, if it's on the wall, it's on. They are not, oh gosh, they are not.
But I
So
like
it's still
the
an area
idea
to
of
talk
keeping
about.
our, appreciating those who, sponsor athletics and the booster club,
Yeah.
while figuring out how to manage that with the
Because,
video.
they come into that.
Thank you for whoever's leading that with the.
I think, and I was on the booster club for several years, but I'm not any longer, but I do know that they really want to be part of the conversation. Because the answer that they got previously was just, they're not hanging up, we're done, that's it. And there needs to be a compromise so that they can still raise funds for the athletes. So, I mean, we don't have to be done with the conversation now, but they would like to be part of it.
And I did send him an email
Yeah.
last week that we were gonna discuss this tonight, a little bit, so.
although, you think about it, although Booster Club is an independent organization, it exists to serve the school, right? To serve the athletes, to serve those activities, to raise funds for them and support them and the lunches and the things like that. So, yeah, we need some collaboration with them on this. At the end of the day, though, I think the school maintains the right to call the shots if there's,
Yeah.
I think it's what's that healthy compromise between the
Yeah.
two.
100%.
And there's no action item on this,
right.
so I think it's gonna be a continuing conversation. It sounds like what
Mhm.
that compromise looks like, but it sounds like everybody's in agreement that it'll be something outside the gym in some way, shape, or form. It sounds like.
Good.
Um,
Good job, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for building the ground.
Good luck, keep going.
Continue that. And I think to everybody's point, I think the next step would be figure out what that compromise is and work with the Booster Club to make sure we find something
Yeah.
that everybody's in agreement with.
New ideas about, add on shop,
DOR was
Yeah,
here.
next steps coming out of the community
Just-
engagement.
more ideas, where it might fit, what may need to happen.
got there for a sec, because the places that we looked at, we gotta think of the gas going in, we gotta think of power into the deal, and can be what can't. You know, it's all parts of the deal, just, they're gonna do some looking, putting some things together, give us some options, what we said, so we'll see what happens.
See what a wrestling room fits on the outside somewhere, all ideas.
See where the ag rooms would fit, and so they're gonna draw some rough stuff up.
Did they give you a time frame on when to expect something back?
So what we wanna do is, get multiple people, more stakeholders in those discussions, like it's going to, so they're gonna wanna meet with like ag and industrial tech to talk about what courses they teach and the development of their programs and what the space could best be used for and that types of thing. And then they wanna know what other activities could a wrestling room area be used for, so it was more of a multi-purpose space that was exclusively for wrestling during wrestling season, but open for, available for other things. The kind of the direction that we were talking about is, we have one more payment on QC Top and 2 more payments on the lease purchase. So we would then consider like doing another project when those things are taken care of, because we don't want 17 payments going out different directions, right? And that gives us some time to plan financially. It gives us some time to take our time and do a good job planning for these facilities up front. So they want to do some surveys and have some of those committee meetings. And then by the time we have our community engagement meeting in January, which is really only 7 months away, we maybe have some things to talk to the community about. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? It feels like that should be.
Storm shelter at the same time with.
Yeah. So they're kind of giving us a direction like with that, with the
If
addition.
it does end up on the west side, it'd be close to the entry,
Yeah.
easy to get in.
And you can't do an addition anymore without part of that being designated as storm shelter, which we know makes it more expensive.
Yeah.
And so those are the discussions that we had.
Okay.
We also talked a little bit, we reviewed everything that's already been done and added on and some things that didn't make it into the final project last time, like a locker rooms and things like that, to see if there was any interest in doing something like that in the next phase project as well.
I think it's good to do a needs assessment. Every once in a while, this is part of the bigger picture of our strategic planning session going on, and just looking at what our options are and what stakeholders are saying they're interested in, and definitely everything. For anybody listening, this is very preliminary. We're just getting a needs assessment based upon stakeholder feedback.
And like I said, timeline, what we talked about is like, this is not gonna be like a hurry up and get this done as quickly as possible. This is, let's take our time, let's do it right, let's plan for it financially, let's be fiscally responsible. So we're looking at probably no sooner than 3 years down the road, looking at something like this, because that kind of takes care of some of the payments and gives us a lot of time to plan. And so,
3 years.
but it goes fast. Do you know how fast that goes? Yeah.
Very good.
It's a good meeting.
Lots going on in buildings and grounds. Anybody else have anything? Okay. No action item there, like I said. Agenda item 7.2, activities co-op. To report here, we are meeting later this week,
Thursday, right?
Thursday. And we should have more of a squared away policy language that we came after that meeting.
We have preliminary policy language and we have some survey results to talk about what, there's about 14 schools that are in our area size-wise. And they're a little bit bigger, and I don't know if they're smaller, that, and what activities they offer, things like that. So we'll look at that data.
Yep, definitely. Preliminary, I could say we, in that array of schools we're looking at, we are definitely offering a lot of activities for a school our size. I think that's the biggest takeaway so far. So, okay. Agenda item 8, unfinished business. We're down to 8.1. Updates as required by legislation on second reading. Dr. Lewis, I know this is our second reading, but did you want to highlight when we met, one of the policies, help me remember.
It was the purchasing
Thank you.
policies, yeah, it was purchasing policies, so that's been, updated with the correct dollar amounts that are legislated, so it's like, it has our $10,000 limit before required board approval, so that was added in there. And then, the max amount before you have to go seeking free bids and do all the public advertising is $109,000. So that was adjusted to that, but, you know. But let's see, the real change to that, I don't remember anymore.
And that came up recently, if everyone will recall, when we did the scoreboards, because we needed to
Yeah.
exceed that hundred.
And now we did, you know, the Equalis group that we joined, which is, they do all of the vetting and things like that. So now they fulfill like our legal obligation for advertising for a lot of different projects, HVAC, and things like that, if something would. So that was nice to have for that HVAC project, which was $258 or something like that, $1,000 that should happen later this fall or this summer. You know, the way they ran their group, it satisfies all of the requirements, and so that's really nice. Anyway, so that was updated from the first version you saw. When I read through it, I'm like, oh, that didn't have the right amounts in it. So that is the one that was changed. And I did have I mentioned in an email from our NCSA, our School Administrators Association, answering questions. Some had added about 6,700, the firearms policy. They were asking if, with the changes to that policy, if it was still okay for SROs, for resource officers in schools to carry firearms. And the answer to that is yes, and also for off-duty policemen. So that was not a change to anything, that was just an update, if anyone had that question.
Okay, and since this is the second reading, this is an action item. So with that, I'll make a motion to adopt policy updates as presented and reviewed on second reading. Thank you, Matt. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of these? Seeing none, let's vote.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Chase Craddock.
Yes. All right, motion carries to agenda item 9, new business, and 9.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action for early graduation application. I'm guessing this was from Mr. Kingston.
Okay, so I printed off our policy 5206, which is early completion plan. We have a student is Lacey Kuchera, and I'll read a little statement she had and leave out some protected information, but about why we're going about this. I guess what you need to know is the student has met deadlines and timelines. They've met with the counselor, they've met with myself, with a parent involved. All the requirements that you see, 1, 2, 3, all the requirements set forth in the policy 5205 that you just approved. The grades, the score, all that kind of stuff the student has met. Okay, so I'm bringing this to you with the support to go forward with this, with Lacey's application for December graduation. Okay, so I guess what we're looking for right here is 7 on the back. The counselors and the principal will then present a list of early graduation applicants, which is 1, Lacey Kuchera, and their background information to the Board of Education. The Board of Education will act upon the acceptance or denial of midterm graduation at the June meeting of the Board of Education. And then, depending on that action, then I will communicate with parents. So again, we are supporting Lacey. We in the school, myself and the counselor are supporting Lacey to be able to do a midterm graduation. So this is Lacey's letter to you. She's determined to graduate midterm so she can take control of her future and begin her college education without delay. Her ultimate goal is to become a dental hygienist, and she plans to attend a community college to achieve this dream. She's willing to invest the time and effort to succeed in this field and make her dream a reality. Graduating midterm for her to take care of her grandfather. Her grandfather has medical concerns, and that's put a strain on her family, physically, emotionally, and financially. If she were to graduate early, to give her flexibility to help her family and get her grandpa to any appointments, different things like that, and in addition to being there with him through the whole process. By graduating midterm, she'll be able to start college earlier, and get a head start on her career as well. She plans to secure part-time or a full-time job to pay for her education and the program. It would enable her to help her grandpa when he needs it. With my hard work and dedication, she's confident she'll be able to graduate college early, begin training as a hygienist, and help her family. So, counselor and myself met with parents there in support of the plan. So ultimately, I'm hoping that, amongst the board, that you approve her to graduate, graduate. There's no ceremony or anything like that. It would look like her transcript would be complete. We've adjusted her schedule to meet all the requirements. We're not eliminating any of those. She would still walk in May, but on her transcript, it would be finalized in December or January, so she can begin that process with colleges and whatever else. Okay? Pretty straightforward.
I think so too.
Just clarifying questions for Mr. Finster and Jen. In the motion, because it's not in here, does it need to state the name?
I don't know, but I just made the motion to approve the early graduation application for student as presented. I don't know, does it need to have more in there?
The policy
But we-
says you present the list of students to us,
Yeah,
so
which
as
is similar to our
presented,
regular graduation.
Yeah.
Lists all of the graduates in the motion for regular graduation to register diplomas, so I think that's right, Jim.
so moved.
Yeah, because I'm saying.
Second.
She said it. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Matt Jason.
Got it.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Fleisner.
Yes.
Teresa Crandall.
Yes.
Ryan Locker.
Yes.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Uh-huh.
Motion carries.
Hey, there it is.
Agenda item 9.2. And we are actually not taking any action on this at the time of publication. Like I said, we have not received a letter from our CPA. So we will look to table that to July. Any further action?
I don't think,
We need to make a motion to table
we probably need to
that.
make a motion to table it.
Okay, make a motion to table the audit engagement letter with Shahol. Now we're at CPA for the 2023-2024 fiscal year audit. in the July board meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cass. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Fleisner.
Yes.
Teresa Crandall.
Yes.
Ryan Locker.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Motion on the table carries. Agenda item 9.3, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to accept resignations and release the following teachers from 2024-2025 contract. Dr. Lewis, I kind of have you on through this.
Right, so they had both these teachers had signed their contracts with us for 2024, 2025. Other opportunities were presented to them. They wish to take advantage of those. We've informed them that they may not sign a contract with another school district while they are currently under contract, which they are. Unless we could find suitable replacements, we would not release them from their contracts. So we did find suitable replacements. This is up to the board whether, you could, we've approved those hires basically through the consent agenda. So this is the discussion for you to have. The school year has not started yet. We do have suitable replacements for both of them. This is a situation no longer faced with a few months ago, which was
Sure.
a mid-year leave, and I'm going whether you approve this or not. This is,
Mhm.
neither one of them has said I'm going whether you approve it or not, because they've seen what happens. And they might not have the opportunity because they might get their certificate revoked. So they know they
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah, I would say,
I'll leave it up to you to talk about it now, so.
yeah, I would just say, as we've discovered, all these situations have been different and unique. It's the individual, every single one. I don't think this is not gonna be the last one, I don't think. And I think our policy dictates, our discretion depending on the situation. I think we take the totality of the circumstances and then the board makes a decision individually on their vote. But, yeah, I think every situation is different, what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chase. I'll start with it. Individually, if we look at this as one individual case with these two teachers, we've been fortunate enough to have suitable replacements. But in the bigger picture, as we continue to make it easy for employees to do this, I mean, these contracts are here for a reason. We hold up to them, you know? Is it really a lot to ask? In practicality, I think it's a bad idea to have people working here for us or for any company that don't want to be here, that would rather be somewhere else. So I lean towards doing what's best for the district. In my opinion, it is to allow them to move on. But I do not like the precedent for setting and making it easy for them to do so, for a teacher or an employee to sign a contract to. You have a great point. It's in the middle of summer. The kids won't know the difference when they come back to class, you know?
However, it was challenging to find suitable
Sure.
applicants even to bring them in
Yeah.
to interview for this.
Not a great time to
It
be
was-
interviewing and hiring.
No, it's not like it used to be where you had people that were still looking for jobs in June. Nobody's
Yeah.
doing that anymore. Heck, people aren't hardly looking for jobs in March anymore. So
Mhm.
it was a little bit of a challenge to get applicants through the door. So it was a lot of work for the admin team to get the right people
Right.
through the door, so.
And these contracts are supposed to prevent the admin team from having to do these fire drills this time of year. I mean, that's why we have them
Right.
sign a contract. One of the reasons.
And that's why the law says
Mhm.
after, it's up to the board to decide whether they want to release after the April 15th date, but that's the hard and fast. We don't have to release them after April 15th.
Yeah.
You also can't request their contracts signed in writing before April 15th, but, you know. Anyway,
Do you have a teacher's or an educator's perspective of this that the rest of us don't? What is that?
I second what you just said. I know opportunities maybe sometimes come late and every situation is different,
Mhm.
but and I mean, we have said 11 billion times that as long as you find a suitable applicant and a suitable person to take the job, and we do that, so. But it's a unfortunate situation to be in.
and I think one had intention of leaving, and that she was sought out by another organization after the deadline.
Mm.
And the other one probably could have known.
Yeah.
In advance and just kind of changed her mind or some other circumstances with her family or whatever. But one didn't know the opportunity was even out there when she signed her contract. The one probably did.
And the case can be made, like you said, you don't want people working for you that don't want to stay on there.
Yeah.
So
That's, and the,
we can, make it hurt, but then it's gonna be a miserable year all the way around.
Everybody.
at the end of the day, that's where I land is, I mean, we don't want kids being taught by teachers that would rather be in XYZ schools in Arlington.
And
You
the
would hope you put all the effort out, but so.
The relationships with the other adults in the building too.
Yeah.
Knowing that person wanted to leave and they're probably not gonna come back. It just changes the dynamics of their interactions with not just the kids, but everyone.
Mhm. Maybe through negotiations, we can bring this conversation up in our next round of negotiations when we have, a conversation that we can have with them, it's.
Reminder.
Remind your people that a contract is a contract.
Another one for clarification, sorry, Jen or Dr. Lewis, the names, do they need to be in the motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignations and release the following teachers from 2024-2025 contract. Elizabeth Lee and Chelsea
Yeah.
Popanowski.
Also,
Thank you, Shannon. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Jason Oak,
Yes.
Kathy Plesser,
Yes.
Chase Craddock,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Agenda item 9.4, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to release staff from 2023-2024 contract days due to inclement weather. Dr. Lewis.
Well, we were not expecting the
Yeah.
last week. But we had the last week, and so, there was no way to make up those days, but we acknowledged that only 184 of the 186 days. Some teachers did come in and do part days of that, but let's just say for argument's sake, some did.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because they got their stuff done, whatever. So, they fulfilled 184 of the 186 contract days that we signed them for, so. Nobody wants to ask them to come back this summer and give us
For
a
2
couple of work days, so. And honestly, yeah, there was,
We've done this before.
we have done this before.
We have done this before.
Usually it's been like for snow days that happened in March, but not for
Yeah.
one and power outages in Lake Hank. So anyway, here would be celebrations to excuse them from these unexpected days that we were unable to
Sure.
schedule.
I'll make a motion to release the staff from the 2 contract days required for the 23-24 master contract due to inclement weather.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt and Kat. Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's go ahead and vote.
Kathy,
Yes.
Chase Craddock,
Yes.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Oak.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item 9.5, discuss, consider, and adopt board resolution to approve staff trainings for 2024-2025 as required by LB 1329. Dr. Lewis.
So if you remember LB 1329 that came out of the legislature, it said that you no longer have to track 10 hours. The board just needs to approve what you're having the teachers do for PD. So I don't know what Rule 10 is going to look like, but this is the new requirement then of LB 1329, which is, reading through this resolution, the district is required various state and federal laws to train staff on numerous topics. And LB 1329 was enacted, which defers to the Board of Education to determine the reasonable length of time staff training is in requirements. And whereas the district's plan trainings comply with 1329's requirements and ensure the Board of Education is aware of it and approves of other staff trainings during the year, the Board of Education adopts this resolution to find and determine that the following training requirements are reasonable in scope and length. So this is actually probably a good practice because you may or may not know what all of the trainings are that our staff have throughout the year that has made us compliant with Rule 10 up to now, and also taking care of all the other trainings outside of Rule 10, which are the behavioral awareness and the dating prevention, the suicide prevention, the concussion awareness, all of those. So you can go ahead and kind of scroll through the trainings that we have annually. It's quite a list when we got through it. And that, I mean, really, even if you exclude our 10 hours required by Rule 10 and our PLCs, there's still a lot of trainings that happen in our buildings, so.
I thought it was interesting to see it written out because we talk about PLC all the time. We know about fire drills, tornado drills, bus safety, and then everything else is just crazy. All the other stuff that's in them. But good stuff.
And so we will develop the PLC calendar during administrator days, so that's non-specific yet, but it's assured to be 32 hours during the school year because it's every Friday morning. And then we sit down together as a team and we decide which time to be district-led PD time and what's going to be department, what is going to be building level, what's going to be data, what is going to be data dives and all those different things, so.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution on the 2024-2025 APS staff training as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cassie and Matt. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Chase Carville,
Yes.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Erp,
Yes.
Cassie Fletcher.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.6, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to rescind policy 6310, textbook loan due to updated Nebraska Department of Education resolutions. Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, the school district is no longer involved in the textbook loan program that is now administered by the state, the Department of Education on behalf of St. Paul, so we don't have to be that middleman anymore. So what we had to do is we had to collect from St. Paul's a list of all of the parents whose students were using the books that the school district bought for St. Paul's and turn that in. Now they just go directly to the state. So we don't need this policy anymore. So we're taking this one out of the manual that the board needs to rescind it for it to go away.
It's actually getting easier.
Oh, yeah, so much bigger.
Uh-huh.
One less page.
One less
It'll-
thing.
The other side of the pendulum will offset
Yeah,
everything.
somebody else. Okay, I'll make a motion to rescind policy 6310, textbook loan as discussed.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt and Brian. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's go ahead and vote.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Erp,
Yes.
Cassie Fletcher, Chase Carville.
All right, motion carries. And with that, agenda item number 10, we will adjourn at 8:11 PM.
Hello, everybody.
Woo.
Not that the goal is to make these short, but
It's just
It's
60
not a bad thing.
uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, we're efficient.
Yeah.